Welcome back to our Mastering Azure Fundamentals series. This is episode 12, and today we're doing a deep dive into some really key features and tools for governance and compliance in Azure.
That's right. We've got some great info lined up. We'll be unpacking Microsoft Purview, Azure Policy, resource locks, and also the Service Trust Portal.
Yeah, the goal here is really to help you understand how these pieces fit together, how they help you build a well-governed, compliant Azure environment. Think of this as your personalized guide.
Exactly. We'll start big picture with Purview, then kind of zoom in on Azure Policy and resource locks.
And finish up with the Service Trust Portal. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's jump in.
Okay, so Microsoft Purview, let's start there. What's the main idea behind it?
Right, Purview. It's essentially a collection, a suite of solutions designed for data governance, risk management, and compliance.
Okay.
The core idea is to give you a single place to view and manage your data no matter where it actually is.
You mean like on-prem servers, different clouds, SaaS apps?
Exactly. On-premises, multi-cloud, SaaS, bringing it all together, providing that unified view.
That sounds ambitious. What are the capabilities that make that possible? What does it actually do?
Well, a few key things. First, automated data discovery. Purview can automatically scan your environments to find data sources.
Oh, nice. So it maps things out for you.
Yeah, it saves you all that manual work of trying to figure out where everything is. It's a huge help just tracking it all down.
I can imagine. What else?
Then there's sensitive data classification. This is really critical.
Identifying the important stuff.
Exactly. It finds and categorizes sensitive information. And, this is so important because you really can't protect what you don't know you have.
Makes total sense. You need to know what's valuable before you can secure it.
Precisely. And knowing what's sensitive helps you apply the right controls, meet regulations.
Gotcha. Anything else major?
Yes, end-to-end data lineage. This is pretty powerful.
Lineage.
Yeah.
So tracking data's journey.
Yeah, tracking how data moves and gets transformed through its whole life cycle, from origin onwards.
Why is that so crucial?
Well, think about it. Understanding data dependencies, assessing risk. If something goes wrong, lineage helps you trace it back. It's vital for impact analysis, for compliance reporting.
Ah, okay. I see Purview has different sort of solutions, mentioned risk and compliance for M365, and then unified data governance. What's the difference?
Good question. The risk and compliance solution is tightly integrated with Microsoft 365. Think Teams, OneDrive, Exchange.
Okay.
Its main job is helping you manage and protect data within those M365 services. So protecting sensitive documents in Teams, managing compliance right where you work.
Right, focused on that productivity suite. So what about unified data governance?
That one's broader. It's designed to give you tools to understand and manage your data pretty much everywhere else.
It's like Azure itself, databases.
Exactly. Azure, SQL, Hive, on-premises systems, even like other clouds like Amazon S3. So this part helps you map out that entire data landscape, apply classifications, understand lineage across different systems, find sensitive data wherever it is.
It sounds like building a full inventory.
Yeah, comprehensive map and inventory. It also helps enable secure data discovery for people who should have access, gives insights into usage, and manages secure access across all those different places.
So putting it all together, the main aim of Purview is what?
Ultimately, it's about helping organizations, helping you stay compliant, get much better visibility into your data, and secure it effectively and efficiently. Know your data, understand it, protect it.
Okay, that gives us a really good handle on Purview. Let's shift gears now to Azure Policy. What's the core concept here?
Azure Policy, right. Think of this as the rule enforcement engine for your Azure environment.
Rule enforcement.
Yeah. Its job is to make sure your Azure resources stick to your company's standards, regulatory needs, best practices, basically setting the rules of the road.
Okay, so how does it enforce these rules? What's the mechanism?
It works using things called policy definitions. You define a rule, that's a policy definition.
Yep.
Or you can group related rules together into what's called an initiative.
Right.
Then Azure Policy constantly evaluates your resources against these definitions.
And if something doesn't match?
It gets flagged as non-compliant. Importantly, policies can often prevent non-compliant resources from even being created in the first place.
Oh, proactive. I like that.
Yeah, there are different effects like deny, which stops the creation, or audit, which just flags it. You choose the effect.
You mentioned scope and inheritance earlier, similar to Purview. How does that apply here?
Very similar concept. You can apply policies at different levels, a single resource, a resource group, a whole subscription, even a management group above subscriptions.
Okay.
And the key thing is inheritance. A policy applied higher up, say at the subscription level, automatically applies to all the resources underneath it.
That makes scaling this up much easier, right? Not having to apply the same rule everywhere.
Absolutely. It's crucial for managing large environments efficiently. Enforce standards consistently without massive duplication of effort.
Does Azure give us some help here? Do we have to write all these policies from scratch?
No, definitely not. Azure comes with a whole library of built-in policy definitions for common scenarios.
Like what?
Things like storage, networking, compute, security. There are policies to restrict VM sizes, require encryption, mandate specific tags. Lots of common stuff.
Tags being those labels you put on resources.
Exactly, like environment.production or cost center,
Yep.
123. Policies can enforce that tagging standard. These built-ins give you a really good head start.
So a resource gets flagged as non-compliant. What then? Is it just a warning?
It can be just a warning if you use the audit effect, but Azure Policy also has remediation capabilities.
Remediation, like fixing the problem.
Yeah. For certain policies, it can automatically fix the non-compliant resource. For example, if that required tag is missing, a remediation task can often automatically add it.
That's pretty neat. Auto-fixing.
It is. Of course, you also have the flexibility to create exceptions if a policy just doesn't make sense for a specific resource.
Okay. And I see a note about DevOps integration. How does policy fit into CI/CD pipelines?
Yeah, that's important. Azure Policy integrates with Azure DevOps. This lets you embed compliance checks into your deployment pipelines.
So checking before things even get deployed.
Exactly. It's often called shifting left on compliance. You ensure things are compliant as part of the development and release process, not just finding out afterwards. Build compliance in from the start.
Makes perfect sense. Catch problems early. You also mentioned initiatives earlier, grouping policies. Can you give an example?
Sure. An initiative is just a collection of related policy definitions bundled together for a bigger goal. The example given is Enable Monitoring in Azure Security Center.
Okay, so what kind of individual policies would be in that initiative?
Well, that initiative would likely contain policies like one to detect unencrypted SQL databases, another to flag servers that have known OS vulnerabilities, maybe another checking if endpoint protection is installed and running.
So lots of related security monitoring checks bundled together.
Exactly. And some initiatives can be really comprehensive, like the note says, potentially over 100 individual policy definitions, all working towards that broader goal, like achieving a specific compliance standard, maybe like NIST or ISO 27001.
Wow. Okay, so the big takeaway for Azure Policy is it simplifies compliance, helps us enforce our rules consistently across Azure.
That's the core of it. Define your standards, apply them, enforce them, and even remediate issues, all to keep your Azure environment secure, efficient, and aligned with your rules.
All right, Clete, excellent. Let's move on to resource locks. This sounds more like direct protection.
Yeah, resource locks are another layer. Think of them as an extra safeguard for your really critical Azure resources.
The safeguard against what, exactly?
Primarily against accidental deletion or modification. And here's the key thing. They work even if someone has the required permissions through Azure Role-Based Access Control or RBAC.
Wait, so even if my RBAC role says I can delete something, a lock could stop me?
Precisely. RBAC controls who can do what. Resource locks add a restriction on certain actions, like delete or modify, regardless of who you are. It's like a deadbolt on top of the regular key lock.
Ah, okay, so it's specifically for preventing those oops moments on vital systems.
Exactly that. Things like production databases, critical network components, resources where an accidental change would be disastrous.
Do these locks also use scope and inheritance like policies?
They do, yes. Same principle. Apply a lock to a resource group, or a whole subscription.
And it inherits down.
Yep. Lock the resource group, and all the resources inside it get that lock automatically. Very handy.
What kinds of locks are there at the different levels?
There are two main types. First is the delete lock. Pretty straightforward, prevents deletion, but authorized users can still read and modify the resource.
Okay, so protects against accidental removal.
Right. The second type is read-only. This one is more restrictive.
How so?
It prevents all updates and deletions. It essentially makes the resource completely read-only for everyone.
So nothing can be changed at all.
Correct. It's similar in effect to the reader role in RBAC, but again, it's enforced separately on top of RBAC. Even an owner can't modify a resource with a read-only lock applied.
Wow, that's strong protection.
Yeah.
How do you actually manage these? Put them on, take them off.
You've got a few options. You can do it right in the Azure portal. usually in the settings blade for the resource or group or subscription.
Okay.
You can also use PowerShell, the Azure CLI, or Azure Resource Manager templates, ARM templates, so you can automate lock management as part of your deployments.
Infrastructure is code for locks. Nice. But what if you do need to modify or delete something that's locked? You're not stuck forever, right?
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. But you have to take a deliberate action. To make any change or delete a locked resource, you first have to remove the lock itself.
Even if I'm the owner?
Even if you're the owner.
Yeah.
You remove the lock, then you can perform the action using your RBAC permissions.
So it's an intentional two-step process. Remove lock, then modify. Makes sense. Adds that extra pause to think.
Exactly. It ensures that changes to these critical locked resources are always intentional, not accidental. It's a crucial safety net.
Okay, resource locks seem vital for operational safety. Got it. Let's move to our final piece, the Microsoft Service Trust Portal. What's this all about?
The Service Trust Portal, or STP. This is basically Microsoft's central hub for sharing information about its own security, privacy, and compliance practices.
So this isn't about our Azure resources, but about how Microsoft runs its cloud services.
Exactly. It's where Microsoft provides transparency. Details on the controls they implement, the processes they follow to protect their cloud services, and, by extension, your data within those services.
Why is that important for us?
Well, for a couple of reasons. One, understanding Microsoft's security posture helps build trust. Two, you often need this information for your own compliance audits and regulatory requirements. You need to show your auditors that the underlying platform you're using meets certain standards.
Ah, okay. So it provides documentation we might need. Is it open to everyone?
Much of it is, but for certain resources, especially detailed audit reports and compliance documents, you typically need to log in.
Right.
Usually with a Microsoft Entra organization account, what used to be Azure AD. And for some of the really sensitive compliance stuff, you'll also need to accept a Microsoft non-disclosure agreement, an NDA.
Makes sense for confidential audit reports.
Yeah.
How do we actually find this portal?
Simple URL. Just go to servicetrust.microsoft.com.
Okay, servicetrust.microsoft.com. And once we're there, what should we look for? Any key features?
Yeah, it's pretty well organized. There's usually a link back to the main homepage. A really useful section is My Library.
My library.
Yeah, this lets you save or pin documents that are important to you so you can easily find them again later. You can even set up notifications for when those specific documents get updated.
Well, that's handy, so I can track the reports relevant to my industry or region.
Exactly. Keep track of the stuff that matters most to you. Then there's the All Documents section. Pretty much what it sounds like. The main repository for everything available, audit reports, like SOC reports, ISO certifications, white papers, FAQs. You browse there and pin things to your library if you want.
Got it. How up-to-date is this information? How long do documents stay there?
Generally, Microsoft keeps reports and documents available for download for at least 12 months after they're published or until a new version comes out, so you should have access to reasonably current information.
Okay, so the Service Trust Portal is really our window into Microsoft's own security and compliance world. Provides that necessary transparency and documentation.
That's a great way to put it. It's invaluable for anyone needing to understand and verify Microsoft's commitment and practices regarding security, privacy, and compliance for their cloud offerings.
Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive. As we wrap up, it feels like we've covered some essential ground for anyone managing Azure.
Absolutely. You've got Microsoft Purview for that unified data governance and visibility.
Right, and then Azure Policy to define and enforce your rules and maintain compliance.
Resource locks providing that critical safeguard against accidental changes to vital systems.
And finally, the Service Trust Portal for understanding Microsoft's own security posture and getting the compliance docs you need.
Putting these together really forms a strong foundation for governing your Azure environment effectively. We definitely encourage you to explore these tools more in your own Azure setup.
Definitely. And if you want to keep digging deeper into Azure fundamentals, don't forget to check out the website learnazureforfree.com.
Lots of great resources there.
And also check out the comprehensive guide, Mastering Microsoft Azure Fundamentals. AZ 900 Exam Prep, which you can find on Amazon. We put a link in the description for you.
It's a great companion for learning.
It is indeed. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.